Hi everyone, my name is Becky Frazier, and today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about technology, social media, and how we can use this to promote inclusion for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. To begin, we look at the Individuals with Disabilities Act of 1988, specifically in the area of technology-related assistance. The idea behind this was to provide technological innovations which would help to further enhance the lives of people with disabilities by providing them with adaptations to fully benefit from all opportunities afforded to people without a disability. We all know that technology can be a fantastic tool for learning, provided that we adapt equipment and materials to become accessible for all learners. One of the most common pieces of equipment that is used to promote learning in today's classrooms is the smartboard. If you are familiar with one of these, you know that there are all sorts of features to the board which can make text more accessible to learners of all levels of ability. E-text supports and computer-assisted reading programs are another tool. These can read aloud text on a screen that may be difficult for a student with a visual impairment or literacy struggle to comprehend on his or her own. Computer simulation programs are another example. These programs can simulate a person completing the steps of a daily living activity, such as dressing or setting the table. This tool can be fantastic for a person who does not have a natural support or caregiver available to them while completing these daily tasks. We also need to be aware of physical adaptations that can assist a person in using a computer or other piece of technology. Some examples of this include iPads being used to verbally communicate for a person who cannot do so, head pointers or eye gaze machines to help someone navigate a computer if unable to use a mouse, or even GPS-enabled navigation devices to help someone get around. There are also learning programs such as Rocket Reader to aid in developing cognitive functioning. It is very important that we are utilizing the principles of universal design when developing instructional materials for the classroom. Social media has become a part of daily life in our ever-advancing society, and people with disabilities are no exception to this development. There are some statistics that show the average person with a disability has approximately 22 social networking contacts, while the average for a person without a disability was approximately 124. However, current research findings are showing an increase in usage of social media in the younger generation of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, likely due to an increase in computer and technology usage from a young age. While there are some disability-specific social media sites, such as Special Friends Online, the fact that people with disabilities are more frequently accessing social media sites similar to their typical peers is indicative that inclusion is progressing. However, while we continue to make advancements in accessibility and accommodations for those with various disabilities, a digital divide does still exist. We must do a better job of creating and providing accessible materials for all people, ones that do not cause a hindrance to users based on their complexity. One way to begin developing accessible materials is to explore how individuals with intellectual disabilities actually experience the internet. Caton and Chapman performed a series of reviews on the current literature surrounding this topic. These reviews yielded a handful of themes, including safety and safeguarding concerns, social identity, support, relationships, happiness and enjoyment, social media usage, communication and literacy skills, cyber language and cyber etiquette, and accessibility. Let's take a closer look at these now. Much of the literature in the area of safety and safeguarding surrounds the disclosure of personal information on the internet. A person that does not understand the danger in providing personal information to a stranger will likely not realize that they could be easily victimized financially, sexually, or even physically. Cyberbullying is another major concern of many family members of people with intellectual disabilities. People with disabilities want to have a place to express their voice, opinions, and identity as much as anyone else. Many individuals report feeling as though social media platforms give them a space to speak up about their lives and advocate for themselves. Some even view the internet as a place where they can be like everyone else. Online, they can choose how much they want to disclose about themselves, including that they have a disability. Support may be needed for some individuals to access the internet, whether it be in logging into apps, uploading pictures, or even reading materials. It is essential that we are mindful of developing materials that are able to be easily understood by learners of all cognitive abilities. For some people, it may be easier to maintain an online friendship than one in real life. Maintaining relationships with others can aid in reducing loneliness and increasing self-esteem. It is important, however, to recognize that online friendships cannot totally supplement for real-life relationships. Many individuals report an increase in self-confidence and self-esteem from their online communities. Online social groups can be a positive way to develop relationships with others, as well as being a safe place for people to express themselves. Recreation and leisure activities, such as online gaming, also can aid in happiness. Research shows that almost 97% of today's teens with intellectual disabilities have a mobile phone and/or access to a computer at home. Most of today's teens grew up with this technology and therefore are more comfortable using it than earlier generations. Facebook currently remains the most commonly used social media site, though new sites continue to pop up regularly. There is some cause for concern with utilizing the internet for a person who may struggle with communication or literacy. This can lead to an undue amount of stress and anxiety for the learner who requires assistance in this area. Cyber language is sometimes to the advantage of the learner with a disability, as it allows a person to not need to be so mindful of grammar and spelling. However, reading comprehension delays can cause frustration for a learner with a word that may have multiple meanings. Finally, accessibility is often a major roadblock for people with disabilities. As social media sites and technology continue to advance, it is of the utmost importance that we are mindful of designing websites and apps that are accessible to all. As a quick recap, these are just some ways that internet usage will continue to become a positive influence in the lives of people with intellectual disabilities, as well as some areas that we need to continue to make improvements and promote further accommodations. In conclusion, these are some ways that we can continue to provide accessibility for all. As always, practicing universal design when developing materials is always the best way to promote inclusion. As our society continues to advance technologically, new and improved accommodations will need to be continuously developed. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for viewing.